we doing? Game time. Let's go. You know I didn't come here to lose. I go hard, I go home. Go hard, go home. You know I didn't come here to lose.
Tackle.
I go hard, I go home. Go hard, I go home. Pull up to the game, no top on it. They gon' know it when I put my name on it. I'ma give it to them, put the blame on it. Let me put some sauce on it. Move with it, move with it, move with it. Go hard, move with it, move with it, move with it. Go hard. All we ever do is win. Change my name to the champ. Wanna come through again? Better get a new camp. We taking up for no answer, making them move like a dancer. Won't be too long, before I come taking it all. Tell me now, who you gon' call? You know I didn't come here to lose. I go hard, I go home. Go hard, go home. You know I didn't come here to lose. I go hard, I go home. Go hard, I go home.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to week one of the high school football season. A second straight week we've actually had football. It wasn't a lot, but we did have some games. Quite a few on the sidelines looking to regroup and refocus as they prepare for week two. We'll see how many games we have next week. But tonight, it's all about the teams that did play. One of those teams making their second consecutive Friday night appearance is Carolina Forest, coming off a big win in North Carolina last week at West Brunswick. Tonight, the Panthers back on the road, a tougher test to say the least. Down to Charleston to take on the second-ranked team in the state in Fort Dorchester. Big test for Mark Morris and his club. We head down to the Low Country. We get the action going early on. Panthers opt to get the ball first, and they fumble. So the Patriots go back to work. Osborne with the throw to McIver, and yeah, that gets it done. Fort Dorchester strikes first, up 7-0. Then DJ Gaddis plows his way in, crosses the line, 14-0 Fort D. Panthers in a hole. We move second quarter. Scott Saylor, nice pass to Anthony Aponte, all alone on an island. Panthers find the end zone and find the scoreboard. 14-6 after the missed PAT. But back comes Fort D. Zion Reynolds finds some more room, and there was a lot of that going on tonight for the home team. Fort Dorchester goes on to win this one, handing the Panthers their first setback of 2021, 58-26. Fort D over Carolina Forest. Panthers drop to 1-1 on the season. However, they'll turn their attention to the bigger picture, which for them begins next week. It's region time, folks. This is when it matters, especially how this season is going right now. These two teams, Conway and Carolina Forest, will meet twice, but that's not a definite. So, next week is big. As Carolina Forest and Conway meets, Conway was supposed to play tonight against St. James to open their portion of region. However, that game was canceled early this morning. So you see where I'm going here. Anytime a region game can be played, most likely it's going to count toward that team going to the playoffs. So strap up and get ready, because next week is going to be big for both the Tigers and the Panthers. Let's move on to Class 4A. South Florence, big win last week to open their stadium. Could they make it two in a row as Manning came to Florence? And the Bruins, yeah, they came out on fire, up 41 in the second half. How about Lenora Sellers? The Virginia commits tiptoeing down the line. Yeah, give that young man pay dirt. Bruins led 48-0 at the break. Yeah, and they weren't done. Sellers going to his main man, McWhite, and this young man is having him health a season. Breaks loose from the crowd, 65 yards later, give 26. 55-0 Bruins, with still a lot of football left to go in this ball game. Toward the end of the third, a bouncing punt is going to be picked up. Singletary looking for a little bit of room. Coach Marlowe said he wanted to see a little bit special things from his special teams, and he got it. That sets up another opportunity for McWhite. Give that young man another score. Bruins all over Manning tonight. 65-0. Bruins go to 2-0 on the season. I spoke with a coach in this region earlier this summer, and he said arguably the most impressive and most improved team that he's seen was South Florence. Well, so far, that coach is correct. This football team is playing well. They're 2-0 on the season, but they got a big test next week. They go to the Midlands to take on Irmo. Drew Marlowe, yeah, he talked about this one, but he also talked about Irmo and where his football team is after this win.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing tonight is that we started fast. We kind of started slow last week and gained some momentum in the second, third quarter. We really wanted to come out tonight, start fast, and we did, especially on offense. We scored fast. That was good for us. Next week's a huge, huge game. Irmo is one of those teams in the state that I've got a lot of respect for personally. That kind of got that mystique. So we're really looking forward to playing Irmo next week.
All right, man, they're playing good, but that game next week is going to be a challenge. And if they can get past that to go to 3-0, look out. The Bruins could be back on the rise in Class 4A. And that brings us to the Friday Night Rivals Endzone Game of the Week. We stay in Class 4A with another team in West Florence. And I have to give Greg and Jody all kinds of props because at 8:30 this morning, we called and said, hey, guys, can y'all be the Game of the Week? And they were absolutely phenomenal. They said, come on, let's do it. And we did it. Cheraw in town to take on the Knights. First game for the Braves and Andy Poole on the season. Second for the Knights. We go up to Knights Stadium, the opener of the new stadium. First game of that complex. And Terry McKithen, first play of the game, breaks off 67. That is the way to break in your house. McKithen having a fantastic season. And he just picked up where he left off last week. 7-0 home team. Cheraw, though, they answer back. Devin Gillespie, perfect strike. Jay Brown, the junior with the speed, in stride, rolls to the end zone. Counter punch. 7-all after 2 possessions. Back come the Knights. They march right down the field, capping it off. Another touch from McKinney. Dude has tunnel vision. Generette called it last month. Said his senior was going to be a monster. 14-7 West. Right before the half, Big T back of the end zone. Third score in the first half for number 10. Yeah, and he was rocking and rolling. Looking a little Elvis Presley coming on. Yeah, there it is. 23-7 at the half. Second half adjustments worked. Andy Poole, Braves cash in. Ball out, however. Braves recover in the end zone. 23-14 in the third. We have a ball game. We move to the fourth. Home team looking to put this one to bed. Darren Lloyd with the sweet lullaby. That's your ball game, my friends. Knights get it done for the second consecutive week. They win this one 35-14, 2-0 on the season. The Knights are one of a handful of teams, just a handful, that have played 2 games this season. So they're doing a heck of a lot better than most teams. Braves fall to 0-1. Cheraw is scheduled as of right now to go to Darlington next week. That could change at any moment. The Falcons did not play tonight due to contract tracing. We'll see if that game does in fact happen. West Florence, they're looking for a game. We might find the answer to that here shortly, but as of right now, the Knights, well, we'll see who they're going to play in just a few minutes. And speaking of that, Jody Generette joining us live now from Knights Stadium after his team's second consecutive win. Coach, you had to be pleased by what you saw tonight just because of the atmosphere, everything surrounding this game, new stadium, first game, all of that, and your team came out with a win.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, the whole atmosphere here tonight was incredible. What Dr. O'Malley has built with this stadium and the way it's set up, you know, it's so intimate, you know, with the fans right there on top of you. You know, I think it's going to be loud. I think it's going to be a tough place to come in and win. And obviously tonight, you know, we just had so many touchdowns called back. That's the most frustrating thing about tonight. You know, you go down and you score and they get it called back. Score again and get it called back. And that gets old when you're a power football team, you know, getting all those touchdowns called back. But, you know, we found a way to win, and that's what it's all about right now.
My friend, you know, the big thing about your football team is just the way Terry McKithen has come on again. 2 years ago, dominating. Last year, had some issues. You and I talked about that. Offensive line maybe had some of that to do with that. Yeah. This year, though, he just seems to be tunnel vision, just seems to be a completely different player.
Yeah, I mean, we love Terry to death here. I mean, we love all our guys, but Terry, Terry's that guy that's really been with us throughout the hardest part of, taking this thing and trying to play a little bit better than we have in the past. But Terry's just a guy that gets it. He knows exactly kind of what we want, how we want it done, comes every day with a great work ethic and wants to improve. His attitude's changed, doing a great job in the classroom right now compared to what he did when we first got here. But, we got to get a lot better up front. I thought tonight we didn't play well up front at all. I didn't think we stayed on our blocks, and, it comes back on me. So we got to coach better next week, and, we got a lot of things we got to improve on. But, yeah, Terry's a winner.
Your defense played phenomenal, especially after that first touchdown by Cheraw. You give up a long touchdown. They countered back and didn't give up anything till the start of the third quarter. What was the adjustment that was made, and what did you say to your defense when they came off the field after giving up that long touchdown early on in the first?
It's hard to really, talk about what we did and what we did wrong. The frustrating part was coming out of halftime and just letting them drive down the field. We come out flat after halftime for some reason. I don't get that, but that's something we got to improve on too. Defensively, our kids are almost getting there. They're not there yet, but they do have. They want to be great, you know what I'm saying? So we've got to coach a lot better next week, and we've got to put them in a lot better position to go out there and execute. But biggest thing with us right now is coaching them up and improving, and we got some body types I think is going to be okay once we get going.
Peyton Marlowe came away with a fumble recovery, seems to be figuring out that defensive end position along that defensive line. I know you're high on this young man, but he seems to be rising to the occasion. You got to be pleased with what you've seen from him over the first two games.
He's doing good. Pate's bought in, and Pate's doing a good job. We're playing too high right now. Our entire defensive line's playing too high. Our offensive line's playing too high. And, it's just we got to practice a lot better. And, that's something to come. I'm not downing a W. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that kind of coach. But there's so many things that this team can improve on. There's so many things that we could be really good if we'll just – clean up a few things here and there. I love this football team. I love the way they prepare. I love the way they work. But we've got to put everything together to be successful in this region.
Let's talk about your quarterback here for a second. Deuce came in during the offseason. You had an opportunity to have him for a couple of months, get in your system. Right now he seems to be getting more comfortable with what you expect from him. What are you seeing out of him in 2 games?
Deuce makes a ton of plays for us, and the thing about Deuce, he's got to get stronger. He's just starting to lift weights with us. He's only been with us like 2 or 3 months, so that part of the weight room aspect of him is what he's got to really improve on. But what he lacks, and as far as being the most physical runner on the field, he makes up for it in his competitiveness and his ability to make plays. He makes some plays tonight, man, it's just your jaw drops. And then, of course, we got a penalty and they brought it back, and then we got another penalty and they brought it back. But the things that he does, he's really special, and we just got to get him to keep progressing every week. He wants to be coached. That's what I like about him. He wants to be great. So that's our job to get him better.
Scheduling has been a nightmare. You've been coaching a long, long time. I've been doing this 20-plus years. I've never seen a season like we're going through right now. How difficult is it from a coaching standpoint, not only to A, find a game, but B, get a team ready because you don't know who you're going to face any Friday because anything can change?
Yeah, it's just been unreal. We had a great schedule set up, and then obviously, that was taken away by the region, the 5A region. So, right now we're just grasping for games every week. And, that's frustrating because right now I don't know who we're going to play next Friday. And I know you thought I was going to give you some information. I don't have any. I mean, right now you're just wondering who you're going to play every week. And, everybody wants to play at home. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants you to give them money. And it's just like, there's only so much we can really do right now because we've got a half-season capacity here. And, obviously we've got COVID-related issues. Everybody does. And I might get a game tomorrow and by Monday, that game's disappearing. So I've never been a part of anything like this. I'm proud of our kids because, right now they're staring at a blank schedule. I don't care what anybody says. You have no idea who you're going to play the rest of the year. So I'm super proud of them for keep coming to practice and just keep giving the effort they're giving But this is by far, without a doubt, the most draining, hardest thing a high school football season I've ever had. And I'm sure every coach you talk with will say the exact same thing. It's just so frustrating when you have something set, that disappears, and then you try to get another game and it disappears. And it just eats at you. But, there's a lot of people going through a whole lot worse things than scheduling a football game right now. And that's why we got to accept that as well.
Jody, I appreciate your time. I know it's late and you got to drive quite a ways to get home, but I appreciate your time and I appreciate you're joining us tonight here on the End Zone. Congratulations on the win tonight. Hopefully you can pick up a game next week and quite possibly go to 3-0. Have a fantastic weekend, my friend.
No. Hey, man, appreciate you and all you do. Thank y'all.
Welcome back to the End Zone. Brought to you by Conway Medical Center and Mr. Sparky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we keep the train on the tracks for week 1 of the End Zone as we talk a little bit about 2 of the best in South Carolina. Sumter going up to the Midlands to take on AC Flora, the defending state champs and the #1 team in the state. Many thought this game would be good, and it didn't disappoint. We go to the Midlands and show you what happened as the boys are back at home, and that would be the Falcons. First drive for the home team ends in points, and it's Mr. Townsend doing the heavy lifting. Right into the end zone as he cuts back. Falcons up 7-0. Later in the quarter, Sumter on the move, but the Gamecocks fumble the ball deep in their own territory. Falcons recover. That sets them up rather nicely. But they had to settle for a field goal. But hey, it's blocked. Return past the 50, so that, in theory, should set up the Gamecocks well. But then this would take place. Ryan McCants lofts it up, picked off in the end zone. 7-0 at the half. Falcons hold on to blank the Gamecocks 13-0. As the #1 team in the state picks up yet another win, handing the Gamecocks their first loss of the season as Sumter drops to 1-1. Good football game, but for the Gamecocks, it's all about region play, and that will begin for them shortly. Let's move on with Marion and Timmonsville. Timmonsville playing their first game of the season. Marion coming off a big win over Carver's Bay a week or so ago. How would this game play out in the PD? The 2 meeting at center field to talk about pleasantries. Timmonsville forced a punt. Malik Nichols chases the ball down, picks it up, and then finds plenty of room around the right side. Hits the corner and finds himself 6. Touchdown Marion. Yep. And they take an early 7-0 lead. Swamp Foxes not quite done. Mr. Scott following the defenders to the middle of the field, breaks free. And he is in for the Marion touchdown, and the Swamp Foxes extend their lead. Mr. Scott is going to have himself a nice season. Marion wasn't ready for the hike as the ball here is recovered. Michael Henry catches it though. Yeah, not sure they drew it up that way, but nevertheless, it works. Down to the 1-yard line, Gabriel Cusack in for the quarterback keeper. 18-0 at Timmonsville. They would add to their lead, but not before the Whirlwinds would get on the board. Terry Lowry hits the corner and hits pay dirt. Timmonsville breaks the goose egg, but it wasn't nearly enough. Swamp Foxes roll to their second straight win, taking business and handling business. 54-14, your final in Timmonsville. Whirlwinds drop to 0-1. Marion back home, well, should say are home next week for the first time this season after back-to-back road games as they will entertain Hemingway. Timmonsville back home as well, with Great Falls coming in town to take on the Whirlwinds. Of course, all of that can change tomorrow. But as of right now, that is what the schedule looks like heading into week 2 of the high school football season. Waccamaw, the Warriors, season opener for them on the road down in Charleston to take on Philip Simmons and the team from Pawleys Islands, hoping to get that first dub of 2021. Defense, though, for the Iron Horses, boy, they came ready to play. They get the sack in the backfield. Then they get the pick. Tristan Skipper stepping in front of the pass. Iron Horses in business. Chance Quarters, side of the field. 4th down for Philip Simmons. They go for it, and the completion to Riley Beard. Iron Horses marching it in. Trip Williams in for the score. Philip Simmons would go on and hand Waccamaw the loss, 36-14, as the Warriors fall for the first time this season in their home opener, or I should say season opener, as they will now turn their attention to Ashley. They will be heading to North Carolina next week for Game 2 of the season, looking to regroup after the setback tonight down in Charleston.
Welcome back to the End Zone, brought to you by Conway Medical Center and Mr. Sparky.
Talk about scheduling. Lakeview, man, they had all kinds of issues scheduling. They had a game, and then 2 seconds later the game was off, and then they finally had another game. The good thing is the second game, Scotts Branch, was actually played, so that's good because the Wild Gators were actually able to get a second game in this season after a game last week at Aner. This time, though, they were home to open the season, and their home opener to be exact, as they look to lick their wounds, so to speak, after losing to Aner last week. Let's take you out to Lakeview and show you how the Wild Gators and Branch went this evening. Yeah, after bouncing back, they did just that. How about Marvin Gordon punching it in for the score? Lakeview converted the 2-point conversion to take the lead. 2 minutes later, Mr. Gordon doing it again. This time, 35 yards for another touch. Yeah, I'd say the Wild Gators were pretty zoned in after that tough loss last week to Aner, 16-6. Then right before the half, DJ Bethea finds Mr. Dawkins all alone. Pretty pass, dime, touchdown. 22-6, home team feeling good. Fast forward we go to the third quarter. Maybe? Okay.
I mean, that's big on their part. It shows a little bit of maturity for them. You know, told them last night, basically, we sent out calls and stuff and said, we're playing. You know, so for them to get ready to play and be able to play was huge.
All right, well, we had some technical difficulties there. But nevertheless, I should say that Lakeview went on to win this one. Can we bring the graphic back up real quickly? Yeah, 28-12, Lakeview. Wild Gators go to 1-1 on the season. You heard Daryl King talk about his team preparing and doing so in a short period of time. They had just basically 24 hours to prepare for this game because Scotts Branch was scheduled yesterday. So, big props to Lakeview, Coach King, his staff, and his players for getting ready that quickly for a football game. They pick up the win. It's a good one, and a lot of players really showed off tonight. We talked about Mr. Gordon. He scored quite a few scored quite a few touchdowns tonight. Hunter Norton, the linebacker, an all-zone candidate, recovered a fumble, his second fumble recovery of the night. So obviously he was big on defenses as well. And 12 hours to get ready for a game, that says a lot about this football team, but that's just how they do it in Lakeview. They just regroup, polish up, and get ready to go and win football games, and they did that tonight. Other scores to get to tonight, it was Blacksburg over Green Sea Floyds as the Trojans lose and their season opener tonight, 22-14, as they fall to 0-1. Quick turnaround, though, as of right now. Trojans will take on Aner next week. The Blue Jackets didn't have a game this week, so basically they'll have 2 weeks to get ready for the Trojans. We'll see if that game goes as planned. Who knows, because it's 2021. And there's a game tomorrow to talk about. Hartsville was off last week due to COVID concerns. They are scheduled, though, to open up the schedule tomorrow, their season, on the road at May River. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff tomorrow night. After that one, they'll go home and they'll get themselves ready for Camden, whom they will host next week in their home opener at Kellytown Stadium. We'll have highlights of this game for you coming up tomorrow night right here on ABC 15 News. That will be at 11.
Welcome back to the End Zone. Brought to you by Conway Medical Center and Mr. Sparky.
Welcome back, folks. Let's switch gears and talk about the private schools in our viewing area. Two longtime rivals met tonight. Florence Christian and Dillon Christian. The Eagles from Florence Christian already had a game under their belts. Dillon Christian, however, coming in looking for their first win in their first game of 2021. Florence, the sights for this game between these two, and here come the Eagles ready to go. Opening play for the home team, Ethan Kelly. Just doing straight stuff. Right around the corner, breaks off 50 for the score. 6-0 Eagles, and Florence Christian was off and running. Toward the end of the first quarter, the Eagles not done. Jewel Huntley finds his man Johnson, and the big fella follows his blockers and finds the end zone. That adds another touchdown on the board for Florence Christian. They go for two. Hey, it worked the first time. Why not again? Huntley to Johnson, 14-0 Florence Christian. Yeah, the Eagles are playing quite well. Later in the second, Harrison Forum up the middle, drags all kinds of players across the line. 20-0 Eagles. Florence Christian rolling again. Second consecutive week, they pick up the dub. 39-12 as they go to 2-0, handing Dillon Christian their first loss of the season in their first game of the season. Dillon Christian, however, has a chance to get that first win next week when they go home to take on St. John. As for Florence Christian, folks, buckle up because it's time for PD Academy and Florence Christian. That one always big. I was at the game last year. That place was packed, and I fully expect it to be packed again next week when those two teams square off yet again. It's going to be one for the ages. Should be a good football game. Speaking of PD Academy, they open their season tonight against a public school, McBee, in town to take on the PD Academy Eagles. And this football team eyeing an opportunity to get themselves to states. And Colby Sinclair doing what he did last year. That's just score touchdowns. That young man knows how to play some football. Props to his offensive line for opening that huge hole. Yeah, there's one of the reasons why this football team can do things like that. Hudson Spivey, yeah, he had a pretty good evening. How about 11 of 17 passes for 196 yards, but not before Holden Calder came up with that big tackle right there. Then Spivey went to work. Opportunity to lay one out. Allen Moore, the receiving ends, finds the end zone. One of 3 touchdowns for Hunter tonight, and PD was rolling. And you know somebody who really enjoys that? Yeah, that would be Jonathan King. Always happy when his players are doing well. Drew Singletary gets in the act as well. Yeah, he had some big touchdown opportunities, including this one right here. 3 catches, 89 yards in that touch. This one all PD Academy. They beat McBee 42-16, the final, as the Eagles pick up the win in their first game of the season. But now they turn their attention to Florence Christian, who we already alluded to is 2-0 on the year after that big win tonight over Dillon Christian. Man, those two, it's going to be a big one next week. And I don't want to give something away, but I might be hinting that if the Endzone game of the week, the Friday Night Rivals game of the week that's scheduled right now falls through, there's a good opportunity and a good possibility that PD Academy and Florence Christian may be the Friday Night Rivals game of the week next week. I'm just saying, we'll see what happens, but there's a possibility that they may be on television next week. Other scores from around the Skeezer ranks. Trinity Collegiate goes to 2-0. They handle business on the road at Wilson Hall 40-27. Right now, the Titans, they're looking for a football game next week. They had one scheduled. It got canceled. So Jared Amell is looking for a game. Last I heard, he was calling around trying to figure out exactly who is available. Right now, there's quite a few options. We'll see who they pick up. Other scores from tonight. The Kings Academy, they fall to Thomas Sumter 49-7. Lions 0-2. They go into a bye. They've got some work to do before they get back in action in week 3. And the last score from tonight's was Carolina Academy over Northwood Academy. Bobcats go to 1-0 with a 41-8 win. Carolina Academy at home next week in Lake City as they welcome Thomas Sumter, who, of course, as we just saw, beat the Kings Academy this evening.
Welcome back to the End Zone. Brought to you by Conway Medical Center and Mr. Sparky.
Man, it's been an interesting week for Richard Bailey and the Scotland Scots. They were scheduled to play last Friday. They started the game. They were up 14-0. Lightning came. They had to delay. Then they had to go back to Durham on Monday to finish the game, which they won. Then they had to go home and prepare to take on Hoggard, a very good football team, just a couple of days later to open up the home portion of their schedule. And that's where they happen to be tonight, back in Laurinburg to take on Hoggard. We go to Laurinburg with the Vikings already up 7-0. Scots, though, come right back. Carter Ravel hits his main target, Graham, touchdown. That connection's going to be deadly. 7-all. Hawaiian shirt night in Laurinburg. Oh, yeah. Gotta love that. Scots, though, trying to get themselves in control. Patrick Primus catches the Hoggard punt, makes a long run before the Hoggard defense finally takes him down. But he picked up a lot of real estate on that one. Cheerleaders and having some fun. But that would lead to this. Hoggard breaks the tie. Thomas, Zion Hall, touchdown, 14-7 Hoggard. Scots in a hole try to dig themselves out. They fight back. The 37-yard strike to Graham, and he comes up with a fantastic one-handed grab there. Defense, though, holds them out of the end zone. In the third we go. Thomas finds Carter Moses open for another 7. Hoggard begins to pull away in this one, up by 2 scores. Fourth quarter, about a minute to go. Scots looking for an opportunity to get back in this game, but they muff the punts. That's the ball game. Hoggard recovers, and that's it. Scotland County falls for the first time this season as Hoggard goes in, picks up a big win on the road over a very good football team. 24-7, the final. Scots go to 1-1. They'll turn their attention to next week. As of right now, they're looking for a football game. They were supposed to take on Marlboro County in the game that's always on the schedule, but of course, due to scheduling, things will not happen. That game will not happen. So we'll see what Scotland County does as they look for a football game to play next Friday. Lumberton at home to open the season, taking on Hoke County. Here come the Pirates, ready to play a little football. However, special teams, not so much. Michael Pitts taken down, safety, 2-0 Hoke. Then Warren Avery takes the snap for the road team to give them a touchdown, and it was 9-0. Later on, more from Hoke. Singletary makes it 16-0 Bucks. Lumberton doing all they can to try to muster some kind of offense, but turnovers, special teams were not in their favor tonight. This recovery and touchdown put the Bucks up 23-0. They would go on to win this one 43-0 as Lumberton shut out in their first game of 2021 as they will look to regroup with a game on the road next week in Wilmington as they head to Laney looking for their first win of the season.